How do you think you say it properly? Ardnamurchan? Ardnamurchan. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, today I am out in the wild in Scotland once again on the Ardnamurchan Peninsula. Now, I'm sure in the comments already, only a few seconds in, someone's going to tell me that's not how you pronounce it. I don't really know whether it's Ardnamurchan, Ardnamurchan, but yes, I've heard a few different pronunciations of it, and I'll be entirely honest, I'm not really sure which one to go for, and I think I change it on a daily basis. But this is some Ardnamurchan single malt. I picked it up from the distillery today, and to be honest, it is a lovely place. When you get there, there's this beautiful entrance sign full of old whiskey barrels. Go into the shop, there's loads of nice merchandise in there, of course loads of great whiskey, and they don't just sell their own. The Ardnamurchan Distillery did only open in 2013, which makes it a newbie in terms of Scotch whisky. They do though have a sister distillery, Adelphi, out in Speyside, and they also sell some other stuff in there. There was definitely a few bottles from Bunnahabhain and a few other Highland distilleries knocking about. So this is what we've got to look at today. It is their single malt. This is just the regular one, the one you can get pretty much anywhere from, well, online specialists. Anyway, I did pick up another bottle, which is actually an US and Asia exclusive, that unless you are in the US or Asia, you could only get at the distillery. But, well, let me know in the comments if you want to see a review on that, but I thought it was a bit pointless given that you probably can't get it. This, though, is their Ardnamurchan Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky AD. It is unchill filtered, natural colour. It comes in at 46.8%, which, well, it's not a round number, let's be honest. It's fairly unusual, but I'm sure it's for good reason. I have had this before in a bar in Fort William. It was a few months ago now, and I absolutely loved it. So I thought I'd better get to the distillery and pick some up, which I have done, and right now we're going to taste it. Just before we do though, a little bit about where I am right now. I am on the Ardnamurchan Peninsula. I'm actually closer to Ardnamurchan Point than the distillery is, and Ardnamurchan Point is the most westerly point in the whole of the UK mainland. There are islands further west, but basically no one is further west right now than me and the people who are actually at the point about a mile away at the lighthouse. But you get the idea. This is pretty much it. I'm actually on a campsite right now. We're staying here for the night. Had to park up for the night properly, and of course in order to be able to taste some wonderful Scotch. So no moving for us after this. But yes, beautiful scenic place, fantastic views over the bay, and Mrs. Crummybeard is currently up the top of the camper van trying to do some whale spotting. If anyone's followed us on previous tours, you'll know that she's almost certainly not going to spot anything, because we never do, but she forever lives in hope. So let's get into this bottle. It is a lovely looking thing, as you can probably see. Nice kind of embossed bottle design there with all the info on. I'm sorry, I don't have a kind of monitor screen, so I've got no idea what you can actually see, but there's the information on the back. There's a QR code to scan if you want to learn a little bit more for yourself. But as I say, yeah, a 46.8% Highland single malt, no chill filtered, no colorant, just the real deal. Let's get it open. Why can I never open these things? Ow! Excellent cork pop. In the glass then, it's got a beautiful yellow, slightly golden hue to it. As I say, it's not got any colorant, it's non-chill filtered, so we're expecting things to be a little bit hazy, a little bit maybe less rich than your average supermarket dram. But let's be honest, for a new distillery, they've not even got a 10-year out yet, as I understand it. And so this is, well, the oldest this really can be is 10 years given when they started. And yeah, I mean, it absolutely looks the business. It probably is younger, let's be honest, but yeah, it looks very, very nice indeed. On the nose, yeah, I remember now when I first tried this and just how much I wanted to get a full bottle, because it's sweet, slightly smoky, got some nice kind of stone fruit, appley notes going on, but you can also tell that this is definitely a coastal dram, and coastal whiskey is one of those things that I love pretty much above anything else. And I just spilled a bit all the way down my arm, so it's not a particularly great start, but yeah, it's got that slight salinity, slight fresh beachfront vibe to it. I don't know how to explain it any more in depth than that, but it smells absolutely fantastic. So let's give it a go, shall we? Cheers. Oh, and it smacks on the flavour as well. It's not as fruity, it's not as fresh as the aroma would have you believe. It's a bit of heat there, it's a bit of spice, peppery notes coming through. The salinity is there in droves, proper, you know, sea spray, briny, just the sea really coming through. I mean, you can see the sea from the distillery. It is as coastal as a distillery really gets. And yeah, it's just absolutely doing it for me, if I'm honest. It's an interesting one, this, because not only is it partially peated and unpeated malt that goes into this, but also the barrels it's finished in are split. And I do have some notes to hand. Again, unfortunately, because I'm out in the wild, they are just on my phone. But 65% of what goes into here is ex-bourbon cask, 35% is ex-sherry cask, and it's a 50-50 split even between peated and unpeated malt. And I'll be honest, I've always said that heavily peated things really aren't for me. Well, what I'm learning is low peat, half peat, whatever you want to call it, this effective blending of peated and unpeated malts makes for just a more interesting experience. You get effectively seasoning from the peat without it taking over and becoming, well, just a bit of a dank oil slick. It's really rich, depthy, reminding me a little bit of cigar smoke actually on the palate there. Not full on, it's not rich, it's not smoky, but there's something about that kind of woody, well, I guess kind of fiery dry wood aroma that you'll get off cigar smoke. It's really quite there. It's got heaps of sweetness still, heaps of heat, and it's just balance. That is the word. It's a full flavour whiskey, this. If you want something soft, floral and fruity, it's probably not the one. But what it is a flavour bomb that is relatively, I think, accessible. If you just hate peat outright, it might still be a bit too hot, a bit too smoky. But I really am not the biggest peat lover in the world, and I think it's absolutely stunning. Now, I know some of you will be thinking, of course it tastes good. You're drinking it a few miles away from where it was made, in the environment in which it was made. It all makes perfect sense. And that is true, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But I've had this in Fort William, which, whilst geographically not that far away, is a very different location. It's not really coastal. It's got a town. It was in a town, in a bar. You weren't getting the proper sea air and all the remoteness of this place. This place is as remote really as it gets in the UK mainland, and yeah, there is a distinct difference. But on the subject of drinking things where they were intended, or at least where they were made and therefore make the most sense, if you're going to come on a whiskey tour to the Highlands, I cannot recommend highly enough doing it in a camper van, going to the distillery. Look, you're not going to be able to, if you're the driver, have these tasting session and drive off. Not only is that just dangerous anyway, and the roads here are treacherous, but also the drink drive laws in Scotland ain't going to let you get away with even a few slips. They are really, really strict, and rightly so. But what you should do is take some drams away, buy a bottle, taster pack, whatever it is, go camping and try it in the environment with which it was kind of intended or made within, because I cannot express how enjoyable watching all of that sea life, potentially. I mean, I can't see any right now, let's be honest, but there will inevitably be seals on the rocks in front of me here later. There's birds going in and out of the coast all the time. It is a dram made for its environment, and well, I don't know what you do with your summer holidays, but this is mine, and I've got no intention of changing it anytime soon. I do strongly recommend Ardnamurchan. They say they are a new distillery. It's all relatively young whiskey. If you're chasing age statements, you're not going to be very interested. But I will say, give it a go, because it is young, it is fresh, but it's got huge amounts of depth to it. Really way above what a non-age statement should have. What people normally associate with a non-age statement. It is there, it is punchy, and it is absolutely full of flavour. And I'm going to go and sit on the rocks over there and enjoy a few more drams of this before the sun goes down. But that really is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you'll be so kind. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.